Mexico City has just witnessed one of the most violent anti-government protests in recent years. More than 120 people were injured, and nearly all of them were police officers. Streets that usually overflow with daily life turned into a battlefield as thousands of demonstrators marched toward the presidential palace, demanding an end to corruption, an end to violent crime, and an end to a government they say has failed to protect them. What happened next shocked even seasoned reporters. Once protesters reached the palace gates, the atmosphere shifted instantly. Riot shields came up, stones began flying, tear gas exploded through the air, drifting like smoke across the capital. Police pushed forward while crowds refused to move back. The government insists officers acted with restraint. Protesters insist they were fighting back against excessive force. But either way, the capital had not seen chaos like this in years. What stood out immediately was the symbolism. Many protesters carried a black skull, a symbol that has become the global brand of youth resistance. But this wasn't just young people. You could see parents, older citizens, and entire families marching under one shared message. And everywhere you looked, you saw the cowboy hat worn by Carlos Manzo, the mayor of Uruapan. He was assassinated after demanding tougher action against Mexico's cartels. His killing became the spark that lit the fuse, and his supporters turned him into a national symbol of resistance. Protesters shouted that the government was failing them, that corruption had reached new levels, and that cartels now held more power than the state itself. One man said it plainly: "This is a narco-government that protects criminals instead of defending the people." Another warned that Mexico was sliding toward a dictatorship, Venezuela or Cuba, and that citizens were prepared to fight to prevent it. President Claudia Sheinbaum quickly responded, claiming that right-wing groups funded the protests to undermine her administration. But critics pointed to something she couldn't deny. These protests weren't limited to Mexico City. In Guadalajara, crowds stormed the state palace with almost no resistance. Doors were smashed, windows broken, and security forces overwhelmed. This wasn't a local demonstration. It was national unrest. Underneath all of this lies a much deeper crisis: the power of Mexico's cartels. Everyone in the country knows the violence is real, but many protesters believe something far worse is happening. That cartels have infiltrated politics so deeply that speaking out publicly can get you killed. Carlos Manzo's assassination is proof to them. He challenged organized crime, and days later he was murdered. His death wasn't just a tragedy. It became the breaking point for thousands of people tired of living in fear. The question everyone is asking now is simple: why did this erupt now? And the answer is that Mexico has reached a boiling point. Ordinary citizens feel abandoned. Crime feels out of control. Corruption seems endless. And whether Sheinbaum likes it or not, the people feel the government isn't protecting them. Sheinbaum still maintains strong approval ratings, but moments like this can flip a country overnight. Once the public feels unsafe, trust collapses fast, and that's exactly what's happening. Protesters want justice, security, and a government they can believe in. Whether they get it remains unclear. Because here is the uncomfortable truth: Mexico cannot win a war against cartels while it is fighting itself internally. And right now the government and the people are further apart than ever. So now it's your turn. Do you think these protests are a genuine uprising of frustrated citizens, or a political operation designed to weaken the government? And more importantly, can Mexico truly solve its cartel crisis? Or is this the beginning of something far bigger? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if you want deeper breakdowns on political stories the mainstream won't touch, make sure you're subscribed, because this situation is still developing fast. The next wave of protests is already forming, and when it erupts, we'll be here to break down every angle.